Okay, grab yourselves a pen and paper and get ready to jot down these 10 hacks that are going to help you navigate your way through the Christmas period. So, this information came from the course that I did with Charles Poliquin and Biosignature, specifically the areas around blood sugar management. Also ties in with courses I did with Owen Lacey and a book by the Glucose Goddess. That's everybody's got to have a nickname nowadays. That was also about blood sugar management. Now, these will also help you regulate your blood sugar during the Christmas period and also avoid those spikes which can lead to weight gain. So, full disclosure, weight gain in the past I thought was purely down to these blood sugar spikes. Quite frankly, I've revisited my views on that. It is as simple as being in a calorie deficit. So one thing I've noticed is the leaner I've got over the years, the better my blood sugar levels have been and the better my blood pressure. So even going down from say 18% body fat to 15% has made a marked difference on my blood measurements as well. So, that's one of the key things. I didn't change my diet. However, just eating in a deficit has made everything fall into alignment. So things like my creatine reactive protein measure of inflammation has also decreased. But I would put that down more to things like fish oil and curcumin that I take. Anyway, what we're trying to do is keep those blood sugar spikes from erupting, because what they will do is they do create a little bit more fat storage. So just the way you structure your eating, just the things you do before and after you eat can make a difference. In fact, I was just talking to my son about this literally 20 minutes ago, the Kaizen principle, which is basically a Japanese principle of lots of small incremental changes have a huge overall change on the body. So people always go too crazy, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Sometimes you just need to make small differences and they can make a large overall improvement in your health. So let's start with number one. Okay, so grab your pen and paper. Number one, first thing you want to do when you sat down and you're looking at that plate is you're going to eat your protein first. Charles Poliquin always put it really simply: protein in Greek of first importance. That's what it means. In the original term for protein comes from the Greek word. Second thing you want to eat is your veg. Okay, why are we doing this? Because it's going to keep that blood sugar level nice and stable, and also it means that as we get onto the more carby aspects of the meal, that blood sugar impact is going to be blunted. Third thing, if you've got access to it, take a fish oil or 2 fish oil capsules. I like to take them with a meal because they're better digested. I also like them to be taken with fat in that meal because it definitely helps with absorption. In studies it shows your uptake of EPA and DHA is far superior. The next one, I would aim for protein for breakfast. That stops blood sugar spikes right from the get-go. What are my go-to favourites? Cottage cheese, salmon and cream cheese, Fabergé Greek yogurt with walnuts and blueberries, that sort of thing, okay? Not Special K, not toast with marmalade, okay? Those do not count, and quite frankly, you're going to get a massive spike, you're going to feel hyperactive for about 40 minutes, and then blood sugar levels are going to crash, and you're going to feel jittery, tired, and lacking energy. Also, you've got to remember that carbs blunt cortisol. So you might think, well, that's a good thing, surely. Yeah, it is in the evening. But if you're having a very, very high carb breakfast and blunting cortisol in the morning, what's that going to do? Well, you need cortisol in the morning. You want to be up and ready to go. So that is not going to have a beneficial effect on you whatsoever. You're going to feel quite lethargic. Number 5, all sugars are the same. This is a point that the Glucose Goddess makes. It all breaks down to sugar. So don't be too, I'm having an innocent smoothie. It's all sugar. It's all sugar, okay? Fruit is sugar wrapped in fiber. So that is going to slightly blunt that blood sugar hit. And also you've got to remember that I would go for dark berried fruits, things like grapes or blackberries or blueberries. So, don't kid yourself that having an innocent smoothie is that much better than a can of Coke, okay? It isn't. It's got more vitamins in it, yes, but I would say in terms of what it does to your blood sugar, it's probably equitable. In fact, it's probably arguable that if you had an artificially sweetened beverage, which I'm not recommending, but that would probably have less of an impact on your blood sugar levels than an innocent smoothie. Anyway, on to the next one. If you've got to pick a dessert, I'd rather you have a dessert than a snack. What I mean by that is that rather than having a piece of cake on its own, save it for after the meal for a number of reasons. Number one, you're going to be fuller, so you're going to eat less of it. Number two, because you've eaten all these things that have blunted your blood sugar, if you do have a piece of cake, it's not going to have such a dramatic impact on your blood sugar levels. Now this one, Paula Quinn talked about years ago. It's only recently that I've reintroduced it into my own diet, and that is a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a tall glass of water around about 15 to 20 minutes before you eat, or just after you eat. So if you've forgotten to do it, it still works after you've eaten. This definitely blunts those massive spikes. But what I didn't know, there was a study that came out where they equated calories. So basically they gave two groups, same calories, but group one, they gave a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in water. Group two, they didn't. Group one lost double the amount of body fat as group two. So that obviously was, it was a placebo-based double-blind random control study. So that obviously shows quite clearly that it has that effect. They also say that apple cider vinegar, which is cheap as chips. I mean, you can get a decent kind of knockoff Bragg's version at Aldi for a couple of quid. Is as beneficial, if not more, than some of the thermogenics that you buy in the sports stores. Burn fat. So just stick that in water. It's also very good for joint health, and it's also good for gut health, etc. So that's a really useful one. Another one that Paula Quinn taught me was that the Chinese actually started it with the man who walks 1,000 steps lives to be 99 or something like that. I'm probably misquoting it, but if you walk after a meal, especially I would say dinner, when the body is less insulin sensitive, your body's kind of winding down, all the glycogen that you've broken down from the meal is now being disposed of for something. You're not just sat watching, I don't know, It's a Wonderful Life. All that fuel that you've just taken in is now being used and is being accessed for energy. So if you can, after a large meal, walk, 20 minutes, half an hour would be ideal, quite briskly. Okay. If you do need a snack, savory over sweet is always is number 9, is always a useful one. And also keeping your clothes on your carbs. So that's from the Glucose Goddess. Basically, obviously, things like rather than having potatoes without the skin, etc. I'm not massive on carbs, and a lot of the time there's a load of trade-offs you can make. I have cauliflower rice instead of rice. I'd have sourdough bread instead of normal bread. I seldom eat potatoes. If I do, they'll have the skin on. Just to give you some ideas. So those are the 10 points. I'm just going to go through them again just to make sure everybody's got them. So protein first, of first importance. Okay, that goes for everybody. If you want to gain muscle, lose body fat, protein first. Vegetables second. Fish oil third if you've got access to them. If not, quick plug for my business. I stock the best in the industry. They're Metagenics, and they are a whopping dose. Just most of my clients just take one a day unless they've got specific health issues, in which case they take a maximum of 2 a day. Protein for breakfast. All sugars are equal. Okay, so don't kid yourself that one is particularly better than the other. They all break down to the same molecules. Have a dessert rather than a snack. So what I mean by that is that rather than eating something sugary in and of itself, you're having it as part of a meal at the end of the meal, obviously. Tablespoonful of apple cider vinegar. The time frame for that is around about 15 to 20 minutes before meal. If you suddenly go, oh no, I forgot, you can have it after the meal. Within 15 minutes, still has the same effect. Move, and the longer and more brisk, the better. You've got to remember that by walking as well, if you're in a brisk walk, you are technically in the fat burning zone, which is always a very moderate kind of walk. It's nothing particularly strenuous. Savory snacks instead of a dessert, and keep your clothes and your carbs. So those are some easy, there's not one thing here that you can't do, okay? And one thing I would say is that Christmas is a time for enjoying yourself, okay? If I say to you, don't think of the Eiffel Tower. Right now you're thinking of the Eiffel Tower. As soon as we put that pressure on ourselves, oh, I mustn't do this, I mustn't do that, we lose our marbles. So it's much better to say, if I fancy a snack, I'll have a snack. I just met up with a client and I had a piece of cake. But I'm also going to train. So the fact of it is, it's all about trade-off. I always say to my clients, you've got to think of this like a bank account where you are having a budget, okay? If you go over budget, it's no great big deal. The next day, you're just going to have to cut back either a little bit or very dramatically. Or you can't hold anybody else accountable. It's no point going, oh, nothing's working. Nothing's working because we can't have our cake and eat it. You can't expect to eat in excess, never rebalance, and then lose weight. But it doesn't have to be such a chore. And I do think that actually by taking things off the table, saying, oh, don't eat this, don't eat that, you're just setting yourself up for failure. When I went on holiday a while back, I was gobsmacked to come back and find that I'd gained virtually no weight at all. And then I looked at it and I thought, well, when we were on the cruise, on the days when we were at sea, I was training in the gym. And when we were off, we were walking around. So I would have quite a few drinks in the evening and I'd eat whatever the hell I wanted. So it's just that trade-off. I would walk a lot, but that wasn't like some sort of punishment. I really enjoyed it, obviously. So find something that you enjoy, whether it's gardening. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. But at least move after a meal. Try and move, okay? And you'll find that the more the better, obviously. So hopefully that gives you all some strategies to work with. And obviously all that is left for me to say is to wish you and all your family a Merry Christmas and a happy and healthy 2025. And try and use some of those tips. Do you know what? Even if you just go, oh God, I can't remember all that, I'm just going to have apple cider vinegar. Listen, at the end of the day, the group, like I said in that study, lost 11 pounds over 4. That's massive. So I would say, maybe just choose one thing. You don't have to be overwhelmed by it. But as you'll see, all of these strategies, really, really easy, really effective. Have a lovely time. Enjoy your time with your loved ones. And I will see you in the new year. Take care. Bye-bye.